Welcome to episode 326 of Angela Watson's Truth for Teachers. I'm your host, Angela Watson, and I'm here to speak encouragement into the hearts of educators and get you informed and energized for the week ahead. Today, I'm talking about my favorite ways to partner with artificial intelligence to create scaffolds, supports, and differentiated tasks. Visit truthforteachers.com for an easy-to-read, easy-to-share version of this podcast episode. If you're feeling buried under lesson plans and grading and endless emails during the school year, check out 40-Hour AI. This is my program that's designed to simplify everything so you can integrate AI seamlessly into your regular routines. You'll learn how to automate tedious tasks, streamline lesson planning, and differentiate instruction without spending hours on trial and error. 40-Hour AI provides curated guidance of only the best tools and uses of AI, with step-by-step guidance, time-saving templates, and real-world examples from other teachers, so you can work smarter. The short, to-the-point trainings show you exactly what to use and how to use it, cutting through the noise so you save time immediately. Join the teachers who are making artificial intelligence simple, ethical, and effective with 40-Hour AI. Get started today at the link in the show notes, or just go to courses.truthforteachers.com. Hey, elementary podcast listeners, I want to tell you about Teacher Summer Talks. It's a free audio summit packed with practical tips from more than 20 veteran educators, including me. Each episode is just 10 to 15 minutes, so you can listen while commuting, setting up your classroom, or relaxing by the pool. No screens, no Zoom fatigue, just solid ideas you can use, delivered straight to your headphones. You'll also get access to a private Facebook group to connect with other educators and join in on fun giveaways. And if you want even more, upgrade to the VIP Pass for 25 printable resources to use this fall. Check the show notes for my affiliate link to sign up. That means I earn a small commission if you upgrade at no extra cost to you. This is PD that works on your schedule. Grab your headphones and let's go. Teacher Summer Talks. Today, I want to have a really honest conversation, not only about what AI could do, but what it's actually like to use it right now as an educator. I feel like it's a different experience every couple of months, starting with when ChatGPT was first released in late 2022. It's just constantly changing, improving, certain things that have worked, stop working, and I just want to talk a little bit about what I'm finding really effective right now. So that way you don't have to play around with it and figure it all out for yourself. Learn from my time that I have invested into this. I want to show you what it actually looks like to use AI for differentiation. While this episode is called My Top Ways to Use AI for Scaffolds, Supports, and Differentiated Tasks, what I'm really talking about is how to use AI as a thinking partner. Not a one-click answer machine, but a tool that you can collaborate with, just like you would with a trusted colleague. The kind of conversation where you go back and forth, where you rephrase your prompt, you reject a few responses, you get feedback on your ideas, and you co-create something together with AI that is better than what either of you would have done separately. And in fact, I love this approach so much that I am hosting a free live training on Monday, June 10th. At 5 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to show you my screen and walk you through the exact process. And a replay will be available if you're listening to this after that date. You'll see how I recommend using AI tools to support neurodiverse learners, how to edit what AI gives you, how to make lesson plans better and more inclusive of all learners with AI's feedback, and how to integrate that process into your regular lesson planning process without adding more to your plate. So there's a link to register for this free training in the show notes. And again, if you're listening to this after June 10th, you can get the replay. Today in this podcast episode, I want to walk you through some of these different ways that I create scaffolds and differentiated tasks. So to accompany this, and because it can be hard sometimes to hear it and not see it, that's why I have the live training, but also I have a free prompt guide that includes ready-to-use examples for all the strategies I'll be talking about in this episode. So don't feel like it's an overwhelming amount of information and you need to take notes, I have a prompt guide. Just download that. That link is also in the show notes, and everything is at truthforteachers.com always. So the first piece that I want to talk about is using AI as a thought partner to help you reflect on instructional choices. And this is a mindset shift for a lot of educators. I don't treat AI like a vending machine where I'm going to drop in a prompt and expect a resource to pop out. Over time, as I get to know this tool better and as it changes over time, I am approaching it more like a colleague who's available 24/7. And I use it a lot to brainstorm. I will refine what it gives me and I'll respond back to it and say, okay, that's a good start, but can you simplify this? Or this part doesn't make any sense. We need to clarify that. Or could you make this more visual? Or it needs to work for kids with ADHD. Can you help me rephrase that or structure this in a different way that will help the kids who need a little bit more support with that? So it's like when you talk to another teacher, sometimes the other teacher totally gets what you mean, and sometimes you have to explain it a different way. And AI is like that. And the output that it gives is the same way. Sometimes what it gives me, I'm like, this is not making sense or this isn't working for me. And we go back and forth together. So I believe this is one of the most powerful ways to use AI at this point in time, to bounce ideas off of it when you're making decisions about instruction. Of course, you're going to be the final authority. You're the human teacher expert. You know your students. This is a brainstorming partner, and you can disregard the things that aren't useful or that aren't accurate. So you could ask something like, I want to include this particular activity in the unit, and you can paste it in there and say, but I'm not sure where it fits best in the unit. Should I use it to introduce the concept, or would it work better as a review? You could put, I'm debating between two ways of teaching this writing strategy. Which one might be more effective for this particular demographic of students? Or what am I missing when it comes to supporting ESL students in this lesson? Or how could I make this more accessible for students who struggle with working memory? I don't expect AI to know this better than I would. What I'm looking for is an alternate view. I love to give things to the AI and have it analyze it. What do you think? Is this the most effective way? And obviously it's not thinking in a literal sense, but what's your opinion on it? And I don't prompt it in a way that is super formal or where I'm really thinking this out ahead of time. I might say, what do you think? Because it can respond to things like that, and it will give an opinion and say, there's this other idea on the web, check out this link, or maybe try what's happening in this YouTube video, and we can kind of go back and forth like that. I find that AI often surfaces options that I haven't thought of, and it helps me explore angles, weigh trade-offs, and catch some blind spots. So it's not about offloading your thinking. When I talk about using AI as a thought partner, it really is about getting a second set of eyes, even if they're artificial. So that's the first key, to think about AI as a thought partner and helping you reflect on your instructional choices. Now let's talk about how to adapt tasks with AI so that they're more accessible to all learners. When I'm doing instructional coaching with a teacher who needs to support students who learn differently, we don't want to water down the content. We want to adapt the path so that the kids get to the same destination. So the teacher might put into the AI, I'm teaching a science unit on ecosystems to a mixed ability class. Help me create multiple access points without changing the core concepts. From there, the teacher might ask for a leveled text for a student with dyslexia, or a visual vocabulary list for an English language learner, or a step-by-step organizer for a student with executive functioning needs. Now, if you're using ChatGPT for this task, you might notice that it volunteers to give you the output in multiple formats, maybe a bulleted list, a visual version, a set of task cards. It often says, let me know if you want me to do this. And I rarely take it up on those kinds of offers, though I do read the suggestions, because sometimes it gives me ideas that I hadn't thought of. Like it might say, let me know if you want me to add an emotional check-in before a task. And I'm like, oh, yeah, actually, that is kind of a good idea. Or create a self-monitoring checklist to help kids track their focus as they complete the task. So sometimes it gives me more ideas, but I have found that ChatGPT sometimes offers to do things that it can't actually do. like create a downloadable PDF, which is usually horrible looking. As of the time of this recording, it is June 2025. Right now, the PDFs that I see are awful. In my experience, it's just not good. I have also tried multiple times to have it transcribe audio from a file. So I'll upload it like a podcast episode and have it transcribe my transcript. And I've tried a gazillion different ways to upload it, to link to it, and never had success with that. You might find that if you ask for an image, which it can do now, it was not able to do that a couple months ago. So that's pretty cool. It might give you something unusable or off topic. I've seen some really good output. I have a friend actually who's used it to design a book cover. But a lot of times it's not quite there yet. Even something simple like formatting a table can be hit or miss with ChatGPT. So if I want something formatted nicely, I will usually just do it myself in Canva most of the time, or I will use a tool designed for teachers to create with AI and then have that tool do it. So that's just a little bit of insight. If you've ever heard someone say, oh yeah, ChatGPT can do all of this. I mean, kind of, but it's not just you if you're not exactly getting the results you want. So if you just want something text-based, absolutely, ChatGPT. If you want something that is a lesson deliverable, something to handwrite to students, I have two tools that I would recommend instead. One is something that you've heard me mention on the podcast before. One I have not. The first one is Diffit, Diffit. That lets you paste in any text. So it could be an article, a story, nonfiction passage, whatever. Or you can just type in a topic or select a learning standard. Choose your grade level or your Lexile level. Choose the language if you want it to be in English or something else. And Diffit will generate a version of that content with built-in supports. So it will give you a simplified and a more complex or higher reading level version. It can give you comprehension questions, vocabulary lists with student-friendly definitions, a summary, open-ended questions, multiple choice questions, visuals, all kinds of different things. So you can choose what you want. You can edit all of it yourself, or you can have their AI edit it. When it's writing these passages, it will link to sources. So you can always see where the information is coming from and fact check it. You can have it leave out certain sources, or you can tell it to draw only from one source. So if you want just a particular article to have comprehension passages on. So let's say that you found an article online you want your students to read. It's too difficult for most of them. Have Diffit simplify it. And it will keep all of the information intact and just adjust the reading level. And then it can also come up with comprehension questions and so on. If you don't have a specific article, it can pull from multiple sources on the web. It will cite them and it will write the article for you. And then, of course, you can differentiate the different reading levels and the different activities. Now, the great thing about Diffit on top of all that is that you can then export it into Google Docs, and there's all kinds of different formats. There's different formats that are free each month. So each month they change the one. Sometimes it's, like a thinking map, a graphic organizer, a KWL. There's all different formats that you can export things into, and also export it into just a PDF. So I really like that. If you have text that you want to give to students, Diffit will format it for you, and it's consistently good. You don't have to question that. In my experience, I found that the output is very consistent, much more so than with ChatGPT. I also really like Insta-Lesson for this. INSTA-lesson, Insta-Lesson. This is a brand new tool. It's from Rob Barnett. You've heard him on the podcast before. He's one of the co-founders of the Modern Classrooms Project, which I'm a huge fan of. He's just a great human being. And this is a brand new tool. I have a training video for it in the 40-hour AI membership site. If you are enrolled there and you want to see Rob show you how it works and answer questions about it, it's there for you. But Insta-Lesson will find an appropriate short video online for your intended topic or your learning standard. So it will go through YouTube and a couple other sites to find a video for the topic or the standard that you want, and then create all the lesson deliverables. So it's not just planning the lesson, but it's giving you the slideshow, giving you the student handouts, and so on. And they're good. Insta-Lesson has a really clean and easy to use interface. It's not complicated to use, which I really like that. And you don't have to create an account or provide an email address to use it. So check out Insta-Lesson, see what you think. I've been really impressed by the quality of the output compared to other AI tools for teachers. And it, along with Diffit, are some of my top go-tos for creating individualized differentiated lesson materials. And I just feel like because Rob has that background as a teacher, he's thought of little things like, you don't want to actually send your students to YouTube to watch the video. And you may even have YouTube blocked in your school. So automatically a link is generated so that students can watch the video without being on YouTube and seeing all of that additional clutter. So there's just a lot of really thoughtful touches in it, super fast if you want to differentiate tasks. So those are some different options. I talked about ChatGPT, talked about Diffit, talked about Insta-Lesson. Let's talk now about giving detailed, personalized feedback to students with AI. That's another really important component of supporting student learning. We all want to give meaningful feedback, but it's often the first thing to go when you're busy. And almost every teacher I know wishes that they could give more detailed, personalized feedback and give it more quickly and more often. So for this task, I like Brisk Teaching. You've heard me mention this on the podcast before. If you've listened to other episodes, still my number one go-to. I have not found anything that I like better than Brisk Teaching for this. It integrates right with Google Docs, and I'm overall very pleased with the quality of the feedback that it generates for students. You tell it what you want assessed, like sentence construction, vocabulary, whatever it is that you're assessing, if you're doing 6 traits or whatever, and it will generate feedback as a Google Doc comment. So you can then edit and personalize that feedback, hit enter, and the comment shows up on the Google Doc for students. So if you're having students submit their work to you through Google Docs, this is so seamless and super easy. Now, caveat, as this kind of AI-generated feedback for students has become popular, there has been some student resistance, particularly in higher ed, where sometimes students feel like they are paying a lot of tuition at college to get impersonal or inaccurate feedback that a human professor couldn't be bothered to write. That's their viewpoint on it. And honestly, I think that concern is valid. If the AI feedback is just being copied and pasted without context or revision, then what's the point? And I can see a very dystopian situation in which students are using AI to write and the professor is using AI to grade, and what are we even doing? We're completely losing our humanity here, and it's kind of breaking my brain to even think about it. So I still defend the practice of AI-generated feedback from teachers because the purpose of feedback is to help students improve. In many classrooms, I'm talking about K-12 here, especially when it comes to essay writing, timely, detailed feedback is just not possible for teachers to do without spending all their nights and weekends poring over student essays. At the college level, a student could theoretically use AI to assess their own work and get feedback, but that's not something that I'm going to expect necessarily from a 6th grader, although I am going to talk about that aspect of it in a moment. My point is, I don't necessarily want a young person listening to AI. I want it to be listening to me. I'm the human expert. I'm the teacher. And I know the student. I know the context. I know the content. I know the learning standard. And so I want the feedback to come through me. It's just, it takes a long time to type this stuff. So, and sometimes I miss things, or sometimes I don't remember what the student did before. Whereas with certain AI tools, and definitely there's functionality within Brisk Teaching for this too, it can remember the student's previous work and identify improvements or areas to still work on. That's really hard to hold all in your head as a teacher. So I think you can give better quality feedback more often with AI assistance. I think it's important for students and families to understand that the teacher might assign a student to write 1 paper in a given week, but the teacher might have 150 or more papers to grade, depending on how many students they have. 5 minutes each times 150 papers is 12.5 hours, and that's just for this one assignment. So in order to give thoughtful, detailed feedback that is individual to the student for the purpose of helping the student reflect on and improve their writing skills, AI makes sense to me. It gives us as educators a way to provide feedback during the process of writing, not just after the assignment's turned in, so students can revise and reflect along the way. So if you do this and students or families push back, try to bring them into this thought process. Explain how AI is being used to support and not replace your role as a teacher. So you might say something like, I use this tool to help me respond faster and to give more feedback more often. And that way students can get personalized feedback on more pieces of writing that I would be able to do without AI. I always review the feedback. I always make sure that it's exactly what I want to say and I make edits. So there is my human oversight and my teaching expertise always involved. And that kind of transparency can help build trust. You can also encourage students to analyze the feedback that you give them using AI assistants. So tell them, if you feel like my feedback isn't helpful or is inaccurate or doesn't reflect your work, let's have a dialogue. Tell me, what didn't feel right and what kind of feedback is most helpful to you? So this encourages students to think critically about the feedback they receive and really analyze. Does it match up? Is it aligned? Is this useful and relevant feedback? That's going to help them grow as writers. Anytime we can have kids thinking critically, it's important, right? And also, this shows that you value their opinions and their feelings and their needs. You aren't just defending this tool and using it no matter what. If the feedback I'm giving you, AI assisted or not, isn't helpful, let me know. Another option that you could explore is having students get that feedback directly from AI themselves, as I mentioned earlier. Because in a way, the teacher's sort of the middleman, right? So after drafting a paragraph, instead of you having to look at it and give feedback, have the student paste it into an AI tool that is designed for student use. And we'll talk about that in a moment. You don't want them putting their work into ChatGPT or any models that are training on that student data. We have to be compliant with privacy laws. But have them paste it into an AI tool designed for student use and ask the bot, how could I improve this? Or what's something I could add to make my point clearer? So this really teaches them how to reflect and revise in real time and how to evaluate feedback critically. They learn to ask better questions, to sift through the AI suggestions and decide what they actually want to take. What is going to still make this writing feel like them? And they see firsthand that the AI isn't always right, and they can push back if the feedback doesn't make sense. But once they get the hang of this, it can be a really powerful way to build independence so that students aren't waiting for you as a teacher to give them feedback or offer support. Next up, let's talk about using AI to scaffold multi-step tasks and directions. Executive functioning challenges are real, now more than ever, I feel like. Many students are struggling with following multi-step directions, with organizing their thoughts, and even getting started. And often as educators, we have an end product in mind, but we can struggle to make our directions make sense to students. I've found AI is great for this. Go to ChatGPT or whatever your preferred AI chatbot is and type, can you rewrite this for 9-year-olds? Can you rewrite it for a 9-year-old who struggles with working memory? Turn this into a research project with a visual checklist and simple student-friendly steps that kids can check off as they do each one. Or, I feel like these instructions are too difficult. Simplify them. Or put this in kid-friendly language. And don't stop there. Use the output to help you reflect on the pedagogy alongside the AI. So consider, will your students understand what to do or get stuck at a specific point? Is the language too vague? Is it going to cause students to ask a lot of clarifying questions? Does a specific vocabulary term need to be defined for them first? Should there be a separate lesson on the vocabulary beforehand? Is there so many new terms that they might need that? Could the information be chunked differently? So these are things that you can ask yourself, you can ask the AI, but definitely use this kind of thought process as you're evaluating the input. Really look at it critically. Imagine that this is something that is, you found on the internet, you found on Teachers Pay Teachers, and you need to look at this and see, wait a second, is this right for my kids? Is this accurate? Is this going to make sense to them? And if you see immediately something that you want changed, ask the AI to make the changes. Say, can you make step 1 more concrete? Or add visuals for each step? Or rewrite this using words a second grader would know? Or I think this is good, but they're going to get stuck here and they're not going to understand this word. And let the AI make those corrections. If you look at what the output is and you don't know what kind of adjustments to make, you think it's okay, but you're not sure, ask for suggestions. And again, talk to it like a human. You can even use the microphone function and literally talk to ChatGPT instead of typing everything out if you want. I usually type because it doesn't require me to fix typos in grammar or anything like that to get the gist of what I want. Sometimes my ChatGPT input is so sloppy, I can't even make much sense of it, but the AI always seems to catch where I'm going with the concept. So I just type faster. Like my fingers are not moving as fast as my brain. So I'm just like typing and making all these mistakes. It gets it. So you can say or type the thing that is bugging you about the AI's output. So you could say, I don't know if my students are going to relate to that example about a farm because we live in a city, and see what the bot suggests. It might give a different example, or it might provide background info on farm life for students to understand. See what it says. You could also respond by saying something like, I'm not sure if this lesson should be taught before this concept or after. Which order makes the most sense if I'm scaffolding their learning? And see what the bot replies. What you'll find is that it doesn't just give you the answer. So it's not going to say, teach this thing first, then this. What it will do is reason things out with you. So the response you'll get is probably, great question, because as of the time of this recording, ChatGPT is very obsequious, very complimentary, very affirming, almost to a fault. But it will almost always compliment you and be like, so glad you thought of that. What a great point. So it might say, great question. Here are the pros to doing it this way. Here are the cons. Here are the pros and cons to do it that other way. And it will list those out in bullet points. Really short, easy to skim. And then it will tell you, my recommendation is this, but you could also do this, or you could compromise, kind of split the difference and do this. So do you see what I mean about AI being a thought partner? It's more than just saying, break this project down into individual steps for students, even though that's a valuable task and AI can do that too. This is really about thinking critically. What do students need in order to be successful at this task? If some kids can handle larger chunks of info at a time, could we provide that to them and then scaffold with smaller chunks of info for others? Can we translate the directions into Spanish to make sure kids whose first language isn't English are clear on what's happening? Another thing I like to do when using AI to scaffold is to consider places in the lesson where students might get stuck and could use AI to help. If your students represent many different home languages and cultures, you don't necessarily need to translate everything and provide those translations. Is there a way for students to ask a chatbot to translate them? One thing some teachers are doing that is working well is displaying a sentence frame that students can use to help them get started. Like, I'm working on blank and I need help with blank. So the student can actually interact with the bot in that way. That leads us to the final way to use AI to scaffold and differentiate tasks, and that is chatbot tutors. Tools like MagicStudent from the makers of Magic School allow learners to get help from an AI that is trained to guide and not give answers. So again, you're not going to put your students on ChatGPT. You're going into a specific tool that has guardrails and that has been trained for this particular assignment. MagicStudent is a new technology, far from perfect, but there's some really promising things happening there already. There's other choices too. I'm just telling you my preference because, as you know, I am a fewer things better person. I never want to tell you all the possibilities because that's overwhelming. I just tell you one, I vetted it myself. I like it. I know teachers who like it. I can vouch for it as an appropriate tool and in many different cases. So that's the one we're going to talk about. So imagine this. Your students are working independently on a reading response. One student is just staring at a blank screen, not sure how to begin. Another is already halfway through the assignment, but is stuck on how to explain their answer. And another can't understand a specific word and is getting the entire assignment wrong because of it. Instead of hoping that you can catch all of this simultaneously, or instead of them raising their hands and waiting for you, or just giving up, what if they could type into a custom MagicStudent chatbot, I'm writing about what the character learned in the story, but I don't know how to start. The bot would respond with something like, would you like a sentence starter? And if the student says yes, say, try this. At first, the character felt blank, but then blank. Or the bot might respond with, think about what happened at the beginning, middle, and end. How did the character change? So you see how it's not giving the student the answer. It's helping guide them through the assignment. This is what you would say to the student, right? Like if a student said, I'm not sure how to get started, that's what you'd say. Well, think about what happened. Would you like a sentence starter? Use this framework. It can talk to the student in a similar way that you would. It's really coaching the student through. And what makes this so effective is that you can train the chatbot ahead of time using Magic School's or MagicStudent's chatbot builder. So you describe what the assignment is about. For example, help students complete a character analysis of the main character in this particular story. You can paste in your student directions, paste in your learning objectives, your rubric, whatever success criteria you have, and you can add specific guiding questions that you want the chatbot to ask if you have those in mind. So if you wanted to ask students, what's your character like at the beginning of the story? How do you know the character changed? Can you add evidence from the text? Then the bot will ask that. You could even include sentence starters or prompts that it should offer. Like if a student is stuck on this, then prompt the student to say, one thing the character learned was blank, or this shows the character changed because blank. So you can set this up. It only takes a couple of minutes. And again, in the free training that I'm doing June 10th and that there is a free replay of, I'm walking you through this because I know it's a little tough to visualize. Once this is set up, students can interact with this chatbot that is specifically built for your lesson. It's not functioning as a generic AI assistant. It knows what the task is, what success looks like, and how to gently guide and coach students through the thinking process, so that AI is really a thought partner for them too. This kind of support is ideal when you are circulating around the room or you're working with small groups and you want students to work independently, but they're going to need support. Of course, once students finish working with a chatbot, you're still going to want to check in. And one of the great features about MagicStudent is that you can actually see what students asked the chatbot. You can see the whole chat history and how it responded. And you can see all of that from your teacher dashboard. This makes it easier to monitor how kids are using the tool and whether or not the support is working. MagicStudent also has guardrails to prevent off-topic or inappropriate conversations, and it is FERPA and COPPA compliant. You can also use the MagicStudent output as formative data. So did the student answer the question more clearly than usual when using MagicStudent? Did they use evidence from the text that the chatbot prompted them to include? These kinds of things will help you gauge not just content mastery, but how effectively students are using the scaffolds that you've built into the tool. It's also a good idea to model a chatbot interaction whole class before releasing it to students to do during independent work time. That way students know how to get meaningful help and not just try to get the chatbot to do the work for them. Again, though, if they're not on ChatGPT and they're within this sort of micro ecosystem of MagicStudent, that's not going to happen anyway. You can also have students jot down a quick reflection afterwards. You could have them respond, what part did you need help with? What strategy did the chatbot suggest? And this helps them process the support they received and gives you insight into where they're still struggling. So I really like that prompt because it helps them make the correlation between where they got stuck and the strategy that was suggested. So next time, if they get stuck in that same place, if that's an assignment that they're not allowed to use a chatbot with, that recollection may come back where it's like, okay, I did this before and MagicStudent suggested that I use this sentence frame. Let me do that here. So it's training them in how to think, how to process their work, and how to do this stuff independently, which I think is really exciting. So those are my top 5 ways to use AI to support differentiation and scaffold learning. Let's do a quick recap. First idea was using AI as a thought partner to help you reflect on instructional decisions, brainstorm ideas, and refine your approach. Second tip, adapt tasks to make them accessible to all learners without watering down the content. You can use tools like Diffit and Insta-Lesson for this. When you want to do the third thing, which is providing more timely, personalized feedback, use Brisk Teaching and teach students how to get and evaluate feedback from AI themselves if you'd like. The fourth tip is to break down complex assignments and clarify directions using AI in order to scaffold and promote student independence. And finally, create chatbot tutors to support students during independent work using tools like MagicStudent that are customized to your lesson and responsive to student needs. If you want to see how these strategies work in action, come to that free training that I'm hosting Monday, June 10th at 5 p.m. I will screen share and show you exactly how to prompt AI effectively, edit what it gives you, and build these tools into your planning routine in sustainable ways. You can ask questions in the chat during the live training and connect with other educators interested in this topic. And the free replay is always available, no matter when you're listening to this. If you're ready to go deeper with this work, I would love for you to join 40 Hour AI, which is my online membership that supports teachers in AI. It's $29 for the quarter or $89 for the year. I'm always updating it and adding new things as stuff changes. You can join anytime, you can cancel anytime. Quit for a couple of months or a year, jump back in, see what's changed. I'm happy to have you do that. Just go to courses.truthforteachers.com and you'll see that. And if you're ready to go really deeper with this work and you want to do it with your school or with your team, I would love to come and support you. I offer custom AI training and coaching for educators. I do this both virtually and in person. If your team is interested in building real-world AI workflows that help you save time, I would be honored to partner with you. So reach out to me. My email is info@truthforteachers.com. Don't forget, download the free prompt guide that goes with this episode. It's in the show notes and it includes practical examples to help you get started right away. Thanks for listening. You can do this. And remember, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be worth it.